Hello everybody. So my name is Yvonne and I am new to the Trying to Conceive community. This is going to be my first video. I'm not new to YouTube. I did have another channel, but now I am focusing on trying to conceive, so I started to think that I would love to have a channel where I could have other women who are going through the same thing and have their support. And I've watched a lot of videos from other couples and other women who have tried to conceive or had infertility issues, and I thought it's so wonderful that they're sharing their story for others to learn from their experiences. I think it's nothing but positive and very therapeutic. So I decided that I would make a channel and document what Jerett and I are going through. And Jerett is my husband. And let me just tell you a little bit about our story as briefly as I can. So I am married. I have been married for 7 years. This October will be 8. We have actively been trying to conceive between 4 to 5 years. When we first got married, you know, we're just having fun and enjoying our first year of marriage and decorating our home and just enjoying life, and got a puppy and, you know, just having wonderful husband and wife moments and going on trips and things. And both my husband and I worked really long hours and pretty much we saw each other in passing a lot of the time until finally his days changed and we had the same days off. But right from the get-go, when we were dating, we knew we wanted children. I mean, I've wanted children ever since I was a little girl, and Jerett wanted children as well. He comes from a pretty big family. He has, his mother had a total of 4 children, and my mother had 3. I'm the oldest. So, you know, we both knew that we wanted kids. And then, like I said, our first year of marriage just went by really fast. The second year went by fast. And in the first and second year of our marriage, we didn't use protection. I never used birth control. I've never been on birth control. I just don't like the side effects that some of the birth control can give a woman and what they do to your body. So I just never opted to put my body through that. So what we used is contraceptives. But once we got married, we didn't use them anymore. Now, I had been to an OBGYN just for my regular pap smears or, you know, stuff like that. I did get a cycle every month, but they weren't consistent. Like, I would get them in the beginning of the month or the end of the month or the middle of the month. I mean, it was kind of all over the map. And my OB knew this, but I wasn't really asking her and telling her I wanted to get pregnant. So I guess it just didn't come up in our doctor's appointments and anything like that. So then, you know, the years just kept going by and stuff, and your life happens, and there were some big life changes in our life. We had a lot of loved ones that had passed, especially on Jerett's side, and then later on in the years, I had loved ones passed, and then interfered with my job, and now I'm a housewife, and Jerett, he's working, and he's working right now, actually, or he would be in this video. So, I mean, just a lot of things that just were bumps in the road that, you know, we always wanted to have kids, and we tried on our own, and I bought ovulation kits, and, you know, I was trying to do the charts and stuff like that, but it just wasn't happening. So then I decided to really find another OB, which I did, which one was closer to me where I lived, and of course had to go through some testing and things, and she decided that I wasn't ovulating enough, so she put me on Clomid, and this was 4 years ago. So I had 3 rounds of Clomid, and the second round that I had, I did conceive. But before she put me on the Clomid, I had a HSG, which basically checks all your tubes and makes sure that they're clear, and it also checks other things. And they found that I had cervical polyps. And so, of course, when my doctor seen that, she let me know that she would feel a lot better if those were removed, and it would make it a more clear path to conceive, and it would be a lot healthier if I did get pregnant if those weren't in there obstructing anything. So I agreed, and of course I had to have surgery. Now I am asthmatic, so I had to have the procedure done in a hospital setting. I had to be totally sedated, and I think the procedure was a half an hour or 45 minutes long. I was really scared. I was really nervous because I'd never had any type of surgery before in my life. So this was something huge for me. And with the HSG test that I had, I was also very nervous because they inject the dye inside your tubes. And I read a lot of things and how painful it could be. And, my OB said take an ibuprofen, before you come in. That way, during the day, if you do have a cramp or something, you'll have that ibuprofen in your system. So I did the HSG, and I was pretty surprised that I didn't feel pain or had the horror stories that some women do. And I was very grateful for that. So to fast forward, going back to the surgery, I had the surgery performed in 2010, December, and then I think a week or two went by and we started the Clomid. And then I had the first round, and then the second round I conceived. I got pregnant. I got a positive, and that was amazing to see that beautiful positive symbol. I almost had to pinch myself because all the times of trying before, I would take a pregnancy test and it would come up negative, negative, negative. And to actually see a positive was, I felt like I was dreaming. So I think it was on a Friday, and I immediately ran over to the bed and I told my husband, and I told him to look, and he had to double look. And it was the positive. So I immediately called my physician's office and I told them, and they said, okay, we will see you, it was Wednesday. We'll see you Wednesday. We'll do blood work and see how you're doing. Well, I went in on that Wednesday and I did the blood work. And within a day or two, I got a call back from the OBGYN saying that my numbers were going down. And they were going down pretty rapidly. So I was losing the baby. And that was so heartbreaking. And a lot of you, if you've ever gone through this, it's just, your whole world falls apart. And of course, I told my parents, and I told some family, and it was just devastating to have to tell them that it just didn't happen this time. And of course, I cried for days because leading up to this moment, I had done so much testing, and the surgery and the Clomid and the ovulation sticks and everything like that. And then you're in the race and you're running as fast as you can, and you finally get to the finish and you run through that ribbon and you're like, yay, I got the positive sign. I'm pregnant. I'm done. I got here. This is what I've been waiting for. And they don't tell you, don't get too excited because this could happen. Just because you get that positive doesn't mean everything's going to be A-okay. So I had to go through all those emotions and all the acceptance of that. And that was really hard. And so we stopped for about 3 months. And I tried to heal in that 3 months, and we tried again. I went back for the third round of Clomid. And again, it worked, and I got pregnant, but that was more of a chemical pregnancy. And again, very disheartening and very sad, and had to go through all that stuff again. And so then me and my husband decided to take a break and just relax and put the baby stuff on the side. And we did. And then we took care of ourselves. And, I had lost a lot of weight. I had lost about 80 to 85 pounds. And I tried to get healthier and eat right. I stopped drinking soda. So I haven't had any soda in about 2 years, 2.5 years. And that's been great. So I really worked on myself, and Jerett worked on himself, and we just went through the healing process. And through that, we went on trips, and we hung out with more of our family, and then recently we decided that we're in a really good place. We both are healthy, and we want to give this a try again. But instead of going back to my regular OB, we have decided to go to a fertility specialist. And when I was with my OB, she said, one more try, and then I would suggest you go to an infertility doctor. So I pretty much decided to take it upon myself just to go, and I started researching for doctors. And I was really nervous. I was really nervous about that because there were so many different doctors. I couldn't believe how many treatment centers there were, and I was just overwhelmed by how many doctors there were. And, of course, each one has all of their schooling and their accomplishments and all of this stuff. And, of course, they do have patient reviews, so I was trying to read all of those, and finally I just called my OB and I asked her, what doctor would you recommend? And she recommended 3 of them, and so out of those 3, I read on all of them, and I picked one, and the one that I picked was a woman. I feel more comfortable with a woman than a man. I've always had an OB that was a woman, so I wanted a woman doctor. So I made the appointment, and they told me May 5th. But then a couple of days after that, they called me, and they said, we can actually take you April 28th. And I was so excited, and I was like, sure, that sounds great. And it was in the morning around 10:45, and that was yesterday. So I wanted to document our first meeting with our fertility specialist, but I chickened out. I really did. I chickened out. I brought my camera, and once we pulled into the parking lot, I just looked at Jerett and I said, you know what? I think I don't want to tape in there, because I really didn't know what was going to happen and what she was going to say. If any private information was going to be brought up, like my address or, certain things I just don't want on here. I don't have the proper editing tools to edit that out. I only have the tools YouTube gives me. So I thought, you know what, let's just go through our first appointment. Let's meet our doctor, let all this information soak in, and then maybe our next visit, I'll videotape that. So I brought on my paperwork for our doctor to look at. Jerett had to fill out some papers, and so did I. And I remember yesterday, we both were pretty nervous. We were pretty nervous. But it was a good nervous. It was a good excitement. And we put on our best clothes, and we fixed our hair nice. It was almost like we were going for a job interview. We wanted to look our best. And while we were going to meet our doctor, the doctor who could possibly give us a family. So we wanted to make a very good impression, and we wanted to look our best. And so we walk in, and I sign all the little forms and give her my packet of stuff that we filled out, and we waited in the office, and the office was really nice and the staff was nice. And then we were taken back to the room, and they took my vitals, and we waited for a little bit, and then in comes my doctor. And she shook both of our hands, and she said, "I would like to bring you into my office." So we got up and we went into her office, which was beautiful. And there she sat down and she said, "So what brings you in today?" And me and my husband looked at each other, and then we looked at her, and she's like, "I was just kidding. You're here for a baby." And we were like, "Yeah, we are." And she has my charts from my OB's office. They were all faxed over to her, all my history with what I went through there. And so she was asking me some general questions about the Clomid and the procedure I had, and the HSG and things like that. And she said that I will have to go through all those tests again. That's right, because we had a 2-year break. I have to do all those tests again. So, lucky me, I get to do all that stuff over again. So, they are waiting for my cycle to start in May, and I will call the office, I will get the blood work done, and then they will start scheduling me for my HSG test, and we will be on our way. So that's what we were talking about in the office, and she talked a little bit with Jerett and the tests that he will have to go through. And his analysis test will be done this coming Monday, right there in their office, which is really nice, so he doesn't have to go to another facility to get that done. He can do it right there in their office, which is really nice. And we were sitting in there, and she's like, "So do you want to go through with all of this again, and do you want to pursue this?" And I'm like, we're both like, "Yes, right away." And she's like, "Okay, then let's go into the other room, and we're going to do an ultrasound." And I was like, wow, already? And I've never had an ultrasound done, where they look at your eggs and your cervix and everything. I've never had that done. I've only had the HSG done. So we go into that room, and I told my husband to come in with me. And he sat down on the chair, and I go, "Oh boy, I want you to be in here with me, because it's important that you hear what she has to say." And so the doctor comes in, and she performs the ultrasound, and she sees polyps again. And not a lot, but there are some polyps there, and she says that we need to remove those. And I was so heartbroken when she seen the polyps there, because I didn't know that they could come back. And it's been about almost 4 years since my surgery. So I just thought that they couldn't come back. And she's like, "Yes, they can come back. And when you're actively trying to conceive, you need to get these checked out every year." Some women will leave them in there, and some women will take them out. She goes, all of them most likely are benign. They're just little nuisances, I guess. And so I was laying there, and I almost was on the verge of a tear, because I thought that I would have to go through surgery again. Really, really upset me inside. And then she was looking around, and she was looking at my eggs to see how many I had and how that was all looking. And she was like, "Oh, great news," she says. "You have like X amount of, good, healthy eggs." And I was so excited, because I'm 34, and I'll be 35 in December. And she says, "Honey, I'd rather have you have polyps and a bunch of eggs than have polyps and no eggs." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's fantastic." And she says, "Everything looks good. We're just going to remove the polyps, and we'll be on our way." So I have a lot of testing that is going to be coming up here in the next month. So I'm sure I will be on here sharing that with you guys and letting you know how that goes. And I don't know when the surgery is going to be yet. We haven't scheduled that. But the HSG test and the other test, or not the other test, but the surgery will be done around the same time. So here's our little packet here from the OBG, and it talks about some infertility things and kind of gives you the definition of infertility. It has some questions in here, that give you the answers if you don't know certain things. It talks about cystic fibrosis and all this stuff, which I don't have. It talks about how much caffeine a woman should have, and how much sugar and things like that, and even gives a patient fact sheet on their weight, like what weight you should be. And of course, when I look at my number, it says I'm obese, which is very horrible and scary. When you go off their chart, this little chart here that they give you, and I'm like, really? That's so horrible. Because, who wants to be called obese? I don't, and I've worked so hard to keep that weight off, and I think I have probably about another 20 pounds to lose, and I feel healthy. My blood pressure is normal, my cholesterol levels are good. So when I look at this little chart, it just makes me feel like you're not good enough, when you're put into these categories of where they think you should be and you're not there. You feel like just feel very disappointed. So, yeah, there's just a lot of things I have to tackle, and a lot of tests, like I said, that we've got to do, but we're all very optimistic, and we're very hopeful and we felt very comfortable with her. She says that we're both very healthy and young, and after we tackle these things and she sees our test results, she's going to have a game plan for us. And she said there shouldn't be any issues that's why we can't get you pregnant. So I left there feeling like we really had a good chance, like we really have. Like there really could be a possibility that we could conceive, and that right there, we just had to let that soak in for a moment, because we've had so much disappointment in our fertility trying and everything, that to hear that felt really good. Felt really, really good. So that's pretty much what's going on, everybody, and I know that was a lot of information to take in. Again, I wish we had a proper introduction video, but I'm sorry. So Jerett will be in some of the videos that I do make, and some of the videos he won't be because he'll be at work and stuff like that. So I will try to get him on camera, but he is totally behind this. He thinks it's a wonderful idea that we document this. He thinks it will be good for us to look back at, and it's like a video journal, that's documenting this. So it's really awesome. So I hope to be talking to you real soon and update you with all of the blood tests and everything, and I'll take you along with me on that and let you know when the surgery will be and the HSG and all that stuff. So I will also be taking you on that ride with me. And thank you for the ones who have subscribed. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your PMs. I appreciate that. All of you. It's wonderful to have that support and those good positive vibes being sent to you. And saying thank you just isn't enough. And I love hearing from you, and I share those with Jerett, and he is very touched that you guys are with us and you're going through this with us, and that it's just amazing. And so thank you. and we will be seeing you soon. All right, guys. Bye and take care.